Product provided by Nintendo, specifically Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Hashtag free Xenosaga. We're doing it, we're starting it. I am in my hand, not like you can see, holding my physical copies of Xenosaga Episode 1, De Wilzemacht, Xenosaga Episode 2, Je suis von guten Bus, and Xenosaga Episode 3, also Sprach Zarathustra. I absolutely love and adore Xenoblade, but I never played the precursor series, Xenosaga. That changes, and I want to talk about my overall impressions going into Xenosaga, something that I kind of want to do with the series, and the preparation I've done leading into Xenosaga. So let's talk about it. Hello everyone, I am Jmulls, and if you don't know, Xenoblade Chronicles is one of my favorite IPs in all of gaming, if not my favorite one. I adore it and I hold it in the highest esteem. However, to me, it has become increasingly apparent that with each new Xenoblade release, Xenosaga is essentially becoming more and more important to know and to understand, to properly be able to recognize, appreciate, and to also tell where this story is going from here. I am someone who really loves the theorycraft about Xenoblade Chronicles because I love the story so much. However, it's become increasingly harder to do with the ever-rising importance of Xenosaga, which is just a series of games from the PS2 that I've never played. Whether that just be the nice little addition of Cosmos, we'll find out, as an optional rare blade in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the entire radio scene from Future Redeemed, or pick a scene from Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Who knows where this series goes from here and how important Xenosaga will be, the next mainline entry of Xenoblade Chronicles. I don't like being out of the loop, so we're just gonna play Xenosaga. However, it is something that is really hard to do in the modern day because the games are essentially locked to the PlayStation 2 and they're not exactly pumping out new discs for the thing, right? And I am also someone who advocates for game preservation. I don't believe games are just a commercial property, though that is a large element to them. There is an artistry that goes into the creation of a video game and the interpretation of a video game. From the actual artwork that is included in the game, such as character design, environmental detail, background images, etc., or even cutscenes, to the music, to the story that is told. These stories can have impact, they can have meaning for a lot of people, and while I don't know what my own experiences for Xenosaga will end up being, I know for a lot of people, at least in my community, a lot of them treasure and adore Xenosaga. And for it to be one of those IPs that seems to waste away in the annals of time and history, I think that is a crying shame for a series that has led to something that I love and adore so much with Xenoblade. But at the end of the day, the cruel reality of the gaming industry is that it is a industry, it is a business. Giant companies are not going to do essentially charity work by bringing back games that no one cares about. There needs to be a profit incentive, there needs to be a money reason for them to want to care. And I've always talked about, well, I say always, but kinda have, the biggest, easiest way for Square Enix to bring back Xenogears, or for Bandai Namco to bring back Xenosaga, is through the popularity of Xenoblade, because that would inherently put more eyes on these previous IPs, and if Xenoblade becomes popular enough, there ideally would be enough interest to revisit these classic titles, whether that be through straight-up ports, remaster, or even potential remakes. But again, the money would have to be there. One of the reasons, to my knowledge, we never ended up getting a Xenosaga 4 was because Xenosaga 2 dropped the ball so hard that when Xenosaga 3 came out, there wasn't much of an uproar outside of Japan for the entry, which has left Xenosaga 3 being so rare as it is right now, and the series never getting a real continuation unless Xenoblade is meant to be the continuation. Again, these companies are not going to do charity work just because they like a game. If the money isn't there, they're not going to do anything with it. And I've heard mixed things about Xenosaga as an IP overall. Some people love them, some people say they are kind of rough to play through, some people say I hope you like hour-long cutscenes, and I grew up in the fires of Final Fantasy XIV and Metal Gear Solid, I was born for this. this. Believe you me, I am not locked in there with them. They are locked in here with me. I also really adore turn-based combat, so I'm not particularly worried about my own personal enjoyment. But who knows? I don't know at this point in time how I'll feel about Xenosaga after having played them. I know sort of the ending in Xenosaga 3, at least the post-credits scene. I know that part. I know the story of Shion is essentially tragic anime backstory, the story. And I know Cosmos, slaps somebody and is a robot. That's kind of my experience with Xenosaga outside of listening to music and songs like Kokoro, Pain, Sweet Song, and maybe Tomorrow. I've listened to those songs a lot because I love that music. But outside of that, and the fact that it is a dude called Dimitri, and also Jesus Christ is here, I guess for the vibes, that's most of my experience and knowledge of Xenosaga. Outside of one other thing. Something I've been doing in preparation for Xenosaga, and by that I mean I started last night, was researching a guy called Friedrich Nietzsche. For those who don't know, the dude was a philosopher, a rather famous one at that. And to my knowledge, because people keep yapping about this, the story of Xenosaga and the themes of Xenosaga are deeply rooted in the works of Nietzsche. In fact, the German parts of all the titles for Xenosaga directly come from Nietzsche. Xenosaga Episode 1, Der Will zur Macht, is a reference to Nietzsche's work, The Will to Power. To my understanding, it's all about this inherent driving force behind mankind to continually strive for your own goals and to become the best you that you can be. Though I am certain it's more nuanced than that. Then you have Xenosaga Episode 2. I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation. Je suis von Gut und Böse. Beyond Good and Evil. Essentially Nietzsche talking about how too often do we describe things as simply good or evil and acting as if it's only one of two binary options, when at the end of it all, and when you actually analyze a lot of human behavior, it's mostly based on perspective. Essentially shades of grey. And then you have Xenosaga Episode 3, also Sprach Zarathustra, a reference to Nietzsche's work, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, which is a piece of fiction that Nietzsche wrote, essentially talking about his personal philosophical view on everything, covering a lot of the topics that we've just covered, but also more. So the inspiration for Xenosaga from Nietzsche is readily apparent even in the titles of these games. So to prepare myself, I've been reading up Wikipedia articles and doing a little bit of research on Nietzsche. I was a little bit familiar with him, but not too much. Look, in an ideal world, all games would be well preserved and readily available for anyone's consumption, but that is also not the world we unfortunately live in. I think if we will ever have any hope at seeing anything Xenosaga happen again, whether that be straight up ports, remasters, or remakes, there has to be enough buzz and excitement and a desire for Xenosaga. And even then, it's not a sure bet, as we've seen the hype for other entries to get anything done with them, even more recent ones, and then just nothing happened. Hello, Bloodborne. But I think the best bet at ever seeing anything Xenosaga again and freeing it from the confines of the PS2 are twofold. There to just be grassroots support for Xenosaga overall, but also the continued success of Xenoblade Chronicles. Because these IP are directly related. So what am I doing with Xenosaga? Well, I'm gonna play through them, duh. I have all three games, and we're going to play them at a gorgeous 1440p, I think, on my streams. We're gonna go through each of the games. I want to do all the quests that each game have available to them. I want to experience all the dialogue. I want to experience all of the story. I want to break it down. I'm gonna analyze it. I'm gonna learn about Nietzsche philosophy to properly analyze all of this. And you may be going, Jmulls, why are you doing this? Well, we have probably 2 years until the new Xenoblade comes out, so Lord knows we have time. And I think it'll be really fun to go through Xenosaga. I'll give periodic updates about my impressions of the game overall, thoughts on the story. I'm gonna be on the lookout for anything I can compare to Xenoblade, which I'm sure will be a plentiful list. And we're just gonna have a lot of fun with it. Character tier list, stuff like that. I haven't decided on a set schedule for playing Xenosaga, but I'm thinking most days, if not every other day, something along those lines. Because there are a few other games that I would like to play, Doom the Dark Ages if the thing would actually load for me, Monster Hunter, Trails in the Sky, stuff like that. We have a lot to play, and I hear these games are quite long. On the back of the box for Xenosaga 1, it even advertises an epic adventure, I'll be the judge of that, delivering over 80 hours of gameplay. You're telling me I have 3 games potentially respectively each 80 hours long of Xeno goodness, buddy, I'm eating so well right now, you might as well call it a bacon and mayo sandwich. And I don't plan to leave a single crumb. I don't want to just like speedrun these games and get through them as fast as humanly possible or anything like that. I want to take my time with them, I want to appreciate all these games have to offer, and now that I'm saying that, I am crossing my fingers and hoping to God that I actually like them, because that would be the cruelest twist of them all if I actually didn't enjoy them. Though in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you know what, I got through Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne on stream. It can't possibly be worse than that. I'm going into these games rather optimistic that I'll end up liking them or appreciating them to some degree at least, and I'm really looking forward to them. The thing I've always found a little bit funny, especially recently, is that Cosmos is essentially the face of the IP for Xenosaga, though to my knowledge, it's actually Shion who is actually the protagonist for the series. And she was also one of my favorite blades in Xenoblade 2, so it'll be nice to actually see the series and the story from which she comes. I have also heard that Xenosaga 1 at least is very light on music and they rather go for silence, for the ambiance of being in deep space. I don't mind that. I love me some good sci-fi. I'm exceedingly interested to see what will become of these games. And I think with that, I'll call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure making the video. It's almost time for us to dive into Xenosaga. And I'll be doing so live on this YouTube channel. So if you're interested and you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. And leave a comment down below with if you have played through Xenosaga, which one is your favorite? If you have not played Xenosaga, let me know in the comments down below if you're interested. And if you want to see these games again, leave a comment anywhere with hashtag #FreeXenosaga. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe. Have a great day. Go play some video games if you can. And as always, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.